All right, what is up, guys? So today we're working on the Z. Finally, the video that I promised to you guys, a little quick walk around. We're going to be doing a few things. So we're going to be doing trying to get the exhaust done. Currently we have no exhaust, and then we're also going to work on the Ducati a little bit, and get that gas tank all taken out. As you guys saw in the last video, we got it all painted up, and it's just kind of been chilling over here. Let me show you guys, but it's just over here. Still have the rust in the tank and everything like that, so we're gonna get that taken care of, at least started today. I don't know if we'll get through the whole thing and get the fuel pump installed and everything like that, but the main focus is going to be a little bit of that, and then also work on the Z for today. So right now, because we did the 240SX subframe swap, which you guys will see a little bit more in depth when I do the full walk around, but because I did that, we actually have to make a new exhaust. So currently I have just a downpipe from the turbo all the way to a test pipe, so it ends right around here, I would say, like halfway through that center console, and we're gonna try and get that kind of fabbed up. I have a few bends, I have some flanges and gaskets, so we're gonna try and get that all taken care of, and then from there we'll be able to start it up, and I'll show you guys a difference in sound from what I have. I have a video of it sounding right now, and it sounds crazy. You could hear this chop, but I want to get it back coming out over here. So we're gonna go 2.5 to 3 inch, and basically what I'm gonna do right now is just kind of do a walk around just to tell you guys kind of exactly what we have going on with this car as it sits right now. So as you guys can see, it's, let me zoom out a little bit. It's on jack stands right now, but this is where we're sitting right now. So I've had this car for almost probably almost 10 years at this point. So it's a 1986 300ZX. We did a 85 turbo hood. So this originally was an NA car. We did a turbo, so a turbo manifold. All the turbo parts at first went on this car, and it boosted fine. We were running about 11 PSI, and it ran fine. And then I got the itch to go ahead and actually rebuild the motor. Let me show you that. So we rebuilt the motor. So fresh pistons, same rod, same cranks, fresh bearings, everything like that. We have a set of 290 cams in there, so big cams for this setup. We have a gutted intake. So gutted intake, we flipped the actual manifold to that side to run a V-mount. So I actually had them flip that radiator down there, as you can see. So V-mount, we have push-through fans. We have a T3, T4 hybrid that basically was bored out. We bored out the turbine housing. That was the OE one, so that it would fit on there stock. We have a electronic boost controller that I still need to wire up, but it's hooked up to our wastegate. And then from there we just have a micro squirt, LS coil packs. What else? We have a GM flex fuel sensor down here, right there. Fuel pressure regulator, 1000cc injectors, 450cc Walvero pump, and then we have 6 AM lines running from the gas tank all the way to the front. The only other thing that I've done is, you can see back here, I relocated the battery. And then if I could turn this on for you guys, we actually have a Pi dash. So let me start this up, but it will take a little bit to kick on. Sorry, I'm struggling. If I go like this, kick on that fuel pump, so it's all priming. We're gonna see the screen actually kick on real quick. Turn this off. So it'll flash through. Kick into the Z31 little dash picture, and then we have Tuner Studio. So from here, kicks into my cluster. It shows everything real time, and it's just hooked up to the micro squirt. It actually reads our AFR, reads everything. I could actually tune from there because it is hooked up to a wireless. It's hooked up to the micro squirt, and it is hooked up to a wireless keyboard. So that's basically all I've done. The only other thing that I did was I actually did a 240SX subframe conversion, and then I did like over fenders and stuff like that. Let me see if I could get you guys. So it's a 240SX subframe, S14 diff LSD, and then we went to the Z32 brakes. They're all painted and everything, Z32 rotors, but other than that, the car's pretty much the same. Everything's kind of been taken apart and put back together. We went through paint, as you guys saw in that super old video, and this will eventually get redone because I never finished this because I just couldn't get the paint right. But today, like I said, we're going to work on that exhaust, and then we're also going to work on that Ducati gas tank to get that all situated. This will be a few different days in this video just because I only have a little bit of time today. I wanted to get started on it, and then this weekend I'll come back, hopefully get the exhaust all finished up, and kind of go from there. So I'm going to set you guys up, bring you guys along, and hopefully you guys do enjoy this video. And at the end we will have a sound test. I'll put it back on the ground. We're going to have a sound difference, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. There is going to be 2 sets of exhaust for this, at least 2 mufflers. So we're going to have like a big fart can, and then we're going to have a straight pipe, which is what I typically prefer, but I do want to see how the fart can sounds and kind of go from there, and be able to swap them out if I want a little bit of quieter of a tone, or if I want a little bit louder with the straight pipe. So we're gonna get started right now. I'll show you guys all the parts that I've got in, all the bends and everything like that, and we'll get started. All right guys, so I'm gonna show you guys what I got to work with. It's not much, but I think it should do the trick. We're gonna have to do some cutting, but I think we'll be able to get everything to line up properly. So let me just show you guys real quick. So we've got this to work with. So we have 2 sets of flanges, so 4 flanges, 2 gaskets, 4 bolts. We have a 82-degree bend, a 40-degree bend, and an 80-degree bend. And these are all gonna be in 2.5 inch. Then if you look under here, we have this bend. These are all off the 240SX. So we have this bend right here that we can use. That's all 3 inch. We have this little bend right here, and then we have this muffler. So this muffler is going to be what we're using for this axle back section. And then we have some straight 2.5 that's going to help get it from here to here. But basically we're trying to snake through the middle up this way. We're going to 90 over here, or figure out a bend over here, and then we're gonna shoot up all the way out to there. We'll have a big fart can. For this one right here, we'll have a big fart can, and then we're also gonna do, like I said, we're gonna do a separate axle back and have that be a straight pipe. It's a little hard to film under the car just because it is still so low, and I do only have it on 2 jack stands. So I'm gonna get this bolted up. I'm gonna get the first piece figured out the angle that I want to go, and then from there I'm gonna tack it in place. I'll get you guys in for all the cuts, all the welds, everything like that. Then we'll get it all bolted back up onto the car, and we'll get a sound test just to see how this one sounds. We don't have, the one thing we don't have is going to be hangers, so we're gonna have to figure out something like for that, but I think I'll be able to figure it out, and I'll bring you guys along for all that too. So this is what we're working with. So this right here is going to be 2.5. So if we keep going back, sorry, it's very hard to film under the car, but we got the diff, and then we're actually going to shoot kind of through this area and loop up this way out the back. But I'm going to get this flange bolted up right here, and then from there we'll start building backwards. Alright guys, so this is what we got going on so far. So this right here is going to be coming out of that test pipe that you guys saw under the car, and it was very hard to see. We have it going around the subframe, or around the subframe, straight a little bit, and then we're going to cut this angle right here. But basically we're gonna cut in the middle of this 80 degree, and we're gonna mate up another pipe coming around, so that we can basically have it pass through that subframe, pass through that diff, and then we're still gonna have this little bend right there, so that's gonna help us in the long run. But I'm gonna set you guys back up for another cut. All right, guys, so I'm laying under the car, kind of more where the exhaust would sit up here. But basically I've gotten nothing tacked in yet. Things have been cut, and we're kind of just figuring out where we want everything to run. And I've gotten pretty close to where I think will be good. So as you can see down here, test pipe, all that forward was there already. So new flange, nothing's tacked up like I said, but basically we have basically we have a 6-inch piece, 6 5/8 piece, or 7/8 piece, going to I believe it was a 45 bend, and then we have it connected to that 80, which we cut in half, and then we just have this straight. So basically right here, we're gonna try and get this to come this way, and then it's gonna shoot out right there. So right there's the exhaust. But everything's clearing so far. As you can see, we don't have any clearance issues. Let me try and bring you over there, but we passed through the diff and everything like that. So from here, like I said, we're gonna kind of 90 over here. It would be cool to have a 45, and then maybe another 45 over here and just go straight, which might actually work out. But from here, I'm gonna go ahead, start taping up some other stuff, and then we'll go ahead, if everything fits how I want it to, we'll go ahead and tack everything in place. Everything's gonna have to be tacked off the car, but we'll go ahead and do that, and I'll bring you guys along for that. I'm not the best welder, so just be patient. And then from there, we'll hear a test fire and see how it sounds. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and continue on with this part. All right, guys, so we're back on a new day. Let me show you guys what I got completed today, but we're gonna finish the Z build today, or not the, obviously not the entire build. Let me kick on these lights too. But we're basically gonna finish up this exhaust. I have some hangers coming today. I don't know if they're gonna get here in time, so the car might have to stay up on the jack stands for the end of today. But let me show you guys kind of what I got figured out. They're in pieces right now, but this is basically the exhaust for the Z now. So from the test pipe back to right here, which would be like the axle back, and then from there I got a 2.5 to a 3-inch reducer that we're gonna put a flange on, weld that to the exhaust, and from there we'll be able to kind of mount everything up. Once those exhaust hangers come in, I'm hoping that I could get them and Amazon delivers them quickly, which they might not, but we'll go ahead and get those installed too. And then we'll be able to give you guys a little sound for it. But I'm basically gonna move out the welder. I'm gonna hop back under and get the flange all marked up for that exhaust to start. And then we'll go ahead and start welding up. So it should be pretty quick from here because all the hard part is done, at least until we get hangers. But yeah, I'll go ahead and start moving stuff out. We'll start welding and kind of go from there. So I'll set you guys all up for that too. And it should be a good one. Alright, so we got that flange tacked in. From here, we're just gonna start marking up what I had already kind of got under the car. And I'll bring you guys back once we start tacking everything up like that. Alright guys, so this is what we're sitting with right now. What do you guys think? Obviously, I'm not the best welder and I'm not an exhaust fabricator, but not bad for what we had laying around and kind of where things are going. So now we got a bend to throw on here, and we should be getting pretty close actually to being able to weld this whole thing up. So while it's on here, I just peeled it back. I'm just gonna go ahead and tack these in. Straight piece, so I think it should be fine. Alright, so that is all the way to the axle back. We're going to hammer on a flange right here if we can on this bend, and that's going to be our mating point for the actual exhaust from there. So the exhaust is going to be 3-inch going to the axle back, but I'm going to hammer on a flange onto that and get that tacked up. Alright, so test pipe to here is done. We just got to weld it up fully, but we're going to go ahead and keep fabbing up on that exhaust behind. Alright guys, so it's been a decent amount of time, probably about an hour and a half or so, but I got the exhaust all welded up. I showed you guys part of it. It definitely was a little redundant and that time lapse was already pretty long. But I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys it right now. Be easy on my welds, I'm not a welder. And this is not my welder. So they came out okay. There was a little bit of some big gaps in some areas, but let me just show you guys. So there is the section that will connect from the test pipe all the way to the axle back over there, and then we have this coming from here, which will be the axle back sticking out. Looks like the hangers aren't going to be here in time today, but at least I'm going to get it all bolted up just to make sure it does fit, and then we'll be able to start it up on the jack stands, of course, because I'm not going to lower it and then, you know, kind of have to raise it back up to do those hangers. But it should be pretty easy. I'm planning on only doing hangers on the muffler itself, so I'll be able to just unbolt that when the time comes, and kind of go from there. But I'm excited to see how it sounds. Hopefully you guys do like it. I'm going to insert a clip of how it sounded before. Just with the test pipe, it sounded pretty dope, to be honest, but we're gonna get this installed right now, and then we'll kind of go from there. I'll do a little sound test for you guys, start this thing up, and show you guys the process and kind of how it sounds after that. Okay. All right guys, so I got it all bolted up. Just gonna show you guys real quick underneath the car. It's gonna be a little bit hard to see, but let me show you guys kind of how it's looking. I'm hoping that it's not too low. It's kind of a little bit lower than I originally had wanted it to, especially around this area right here. I tried to have it a little bit more tucked, but once I got everything bolted up, it kind of sagged a little bit. But this is where it came out. So I'm hoping that it'll sound pretty good. I think it looks pretty good. A little worried about the angle, but keep in mind there is going to be another axle back that we put on there, but you could see it a lot better. You guys could actually finally see the 240 subframe. But we have PBM coilovers, and then we have full adjustable arms in the back. That's how we have almost zero camber on it. But we're gonna go ahead, try and start it up and just kind of see how it sounds right now, okay? And I'll set you guys up for a little bit of a a little bit of a sound test and just kind of go from there. All right guys, so my key doesn't work at the moment, so we're actually going to start it up with just a normal, we're going to jump some things, if I can find my wire. So I have my key switch right here, and we're going to go ahead, jump that. Let me just make sure it's in neutral. Good. So we should be able to start up. It does take a little bit just because the tune's not there all the way, but we'll get it started. So it does take a little bit to get warm, so we're going to go ahead and do that, but it sounds much different. All right guys, so the hangers did get here in time. I was actually able to weld them up. So it's where it needs to be. I'm a little not happy with the angle that it's at. Let me see if I can show you guys. From the back it looks fine. From the side it looks like it's tilted down a little bit. But for what we did, how much time we had, everything like that, I'm actually very happy with it. So that's where I'm going to call it for today. I am going to insert a clip of what it sounded like before. I'm going to insert a clip of what it sounded like before. I do kind of like it better, to be honest. So I think I'm going to redo the axle back and basically just do a straight pipe. It will be louder, but it's going to sound gnarly, way gnarlier than it sounded in this video today. Oh, lame. But I'm gonna go ahead and get this edited. I'll get this one out to you guys. I know it was definitely a little bit of a boring one, but just kind of getting you guys back into the Z a little bit and kind of everything that we're going to be doing on it. So we're going to go from there. Next thing that we have to do is we got to figure out why we're not starting from the key switch. Once we do that, then we're going to start going ahead. I've been watching a lot of videos on how to tune with Micro Squirt and Mega Squirt and Tuner Studio. So we're going to start doing all that. once we could get that to actually kick on with the key. But once we do that, we're actually pretty close. Exhaust was like the main thing that I was worried about, and I'm glad that I could at least get something on it so it's not as loud. And we can always redo the axle back, so I'm not too worried about that. But from having it in the ground or up in the air to having it on the ground now, it just looks 10 times cooler. I wish I could pull it out right now, but I got my aunt's car parked here and I do not have the keys for it, so we're gonna have to hold off on that. But this thing is looking good. So yeah, stay tuned. Next video. Stay tuned. Next video. I don't know exactly what it's gonna be. I still have not had time to take the rust out of the tank, so I think we're gonna jump back onto the Ducati for a little bit, give this thing a little break, and then might try and alternate from the Ducati to the Z, just so I don't get bored and just so I don't get burnt out. But we'll go ahead and do all that. We'll get started on both of them, and keep chugging along and keep putting out these videos, just because I do enjoy them and do want you guys to see kind of everything that I've been doing, just so you know that I haven't been just slacking. But we're gonna keep going on them, and I'll just continue bringing you guys along. So I hope you guys did enjoy this one. I know it wasn't, like I said, the most exciting one, but we're gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep bringing you guys along, and hopefully you guys do enjoy it, and hopefully we could get both these started up pretty soon and start ripping on them, and then bring my 900 back down. So I'm supposed to be picking that up, so we'll start working on that again, start riding it, and kind of go from there. So I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.